Okay. Hi, I'm Bill Shkurti. I teach PA 7930, which is a capstone course called Strategic Budgeting. To the best of my knowledge, it's the only one of its kind in the country, and I'll explain why in a minute. Dave mentioned that we try to do two things with these capstone courses. One is to integrate the knowledge that hopefully you've learned as you've matriculated through here, and the other is to figure out how to apply it. So let me talk about first the integration part and then the applied part. What the course tries to do is integrate budgeting with strategy and the other non-budgeting aspects of public policy you've learned, whether it's managing human resources, managing capital, managing information, or whatever it is, and integrate them together, okay? And we also do a section on financial risk management. And there are a lot of courses on risk management in the more traditional insurance type, but this is the only one that has a specialization in financial risk management. One of the questions I get a lot from some of my students, for people that are interested in a financial bent in their career, the benefits of a course like this should be obvious. For people that are not, you may wonder, what the hell that got to do with me? And what I tell the non-financial people, that if you become a program manager or whatever, you will be dealing with financial people. You will have a budget. You will have to make a case to somebody for a budget, and it's better to understand their language. And as you move up in management, you will be managing financial people. So knowing what to expect out of them is really important. Another question I get a lot is, well, does that mean I have to have a real strong financial bent? Well, you have to be capable to add 2 and 2 and get 4. But if you've taken either, I think it's 60-30 and 60-30 and 60-40, public sector economics, and then there's public sector budgeting. If you got at least a strong B in that, you ought to be able to handle this course pretty well. If you struggled with either of those two, you may start out a little bit behind, but I think people that are non-financial people have gotten as much, if not more, out of this course than the financial people do, for the reasons that I just mentioned. We also talked about this being applied. A real important earmark of the John Glenn College is we take what's theoretical or what's theory and make sure we learn how to apply it. So you're not just taught what, but you're taught why. You're not just taught how, but you're taught how to think outside the box, okay? This course does the same thing. And the way we link them, I actually graduated from this program many, many, many years ago. And I can tell you from my experience in the public sector, most of what I learned in the classroom works most of the time as long as it's applied correctly. So what we talk about is how to do that. My experience, I was fortunate enough right out of graduate school get a job as the chief aide to the chair of the Ohio Senate Finance Committee. So I got invited inside the smoke-filled rooms where the sausage is made, and it was a wonderful experience at that age. So I learned a lot about the politics of budgeting as well as the adding up the numbers. I also served as the state budget director. And Ohio is, I think, if you equate it to a country, it would be like the 30th largest country in the world. Then I came to Ohio State and served for 20 years as the chief financial officer before retiring. All these gray hairs came from Ohio State. There were times it drove me crazy, but talk about a wonderful learning experience. So you're responsible for the finances of one of the largest medical centers in the world, one of the most successful athletic programs in the world, the state's 10th largest airport. If you count students as people, which we do, we house more people overnight than Ramada Inns. We have one of the largest police forces in the state. All that has to be dealt with in a financial way. And the wonderful thing I love about OSU, and I always have a couple people in my class that work somewhere in OSU's bureaucracy, is OSU in application provide as many examples of how not to do something as well as how to do it. So we talk about how to learn the difference. The way the class sessions work is normally we start with talking about the readings, and the readings are pulled from a variety of different things, usually real life stuff. Then we may have a guest speaker. If we don't have a guest speaker from the so-called real world, we do a class exercise of a real world problem. We might take a 5-year financial plan of the Reynoldsburg School District and pick it apart. And I'll talk about why financial plans are important in just a second. Then the third part of the class is especially as the semester goes on, is time to work on your group projects. So the way the class is set up, the core of the learning experience is for the midterm or the first paper, if you will, is an individual paper, and you get to pick a real-life agency. It can be anything. I've had people pick parts of federal agencies, parts of state agency, departments in the university, small nonprofits, whatever. You pick that and you do a financial assessment to determine the financial sustainability of that organization, okay? And you turn that paper in about halfway through the semester. That's your midterm. And then your grade on that also serves if you're an MA student in meeting those requirements. Then for the second half of the class, you set up, you can pick your own group of 3, and I found groups of 3 work best, and you pick one of those 3 that you've done as your project for the group project. And the next step is, once you've assessed the financial sustainability, is you take a look and say, all right, if this organization is on a good, sustainable path, very few are if you really look at them, but if they are, then the question is, how do you stay there, okay? If they're not, then the question is, how do you get there? And that's what the group does, and then there's a presentation at the end of the semester, and that also counts for 30% of your grade, and that also counts as the final. Okay, so you have a single project, a group project. And believe it or not, the groups have really done a good job on picking one of the subjects that one of the group members has done the first paper on. And we also do a peer assessment, so we make sure there are no slackers. Everybody contributed, it isn't just the person who writes the paper. I think I've covered just about everything. Let me check, see if there's anything I didn't mention. Oh, I know one of the questions was, what kind of projects do people do? I've had projects like one group picked the Defense Construction Supply Center, a subset of that, which is a federal entity out there on the east side, if you're familiar with it. Another group, a lot of groups like to do the smaller municipalities. Someone did the city of Dublin, someone did the city of Powell. Municipalities are interesting because they can control, or try to control, both the revenue and expense side of what they do. I've had people pick different departments within Ohio State. I've had people pick small nonprofits. We had the YMCA for the city of Bellefontaine, I think, one time. We had the Women's Leadership Fund, a variety of different things. That's the other thing that reminds me. My background, if you followed it, is primarily with state government with Ohio State. 2 huge bureaucracies. And that has both its advantages and disadvantages. But among the things I had to do and wanted to do in all those positions is serve on various nonprofit boards. I counted them up one time, and I think it was 15 or 16 or 17 of them, all of which were smaller nonprofits. So this course is designed not just to focus on government agencies, although they're an important part, and a lot of the students pick that, but also on nonprofits. And as time is going on, more and more of our students are ending up working in nonprofits. So you'll find that to be a home as well that you'll be welcome for. So I hope that gives you kind of an idea what the course is like. The students have found the blend of practical and theoretical to be really helpful to them in their careers. And hopefully for those of you that are interested, you will find this exciting as well.